This is a paper from the University of Iowa College of Law. It was published in the George Washington Law Review. So this is a little bit different. It's called Algorithms Acting Badly, a Solution from Corporate Law. The paper is actually 42 pages. There's a lot of law and everything in here. And the reason I was presenting this paper was because we all sit around and write software or write algorithms or whatever in our computer. And then throughout your computer science career, this is what you're going to be doing a lot of. But there's actually case laws out there that, that talks about liability when algorithms go bad. So I thought this was interesting. But my objective here for you today is to acknowledge the possibility, like I said, throughout your computer science career, that algorithms do err. There's no guarantees that any software you write or any line of code that, somewhere down the line will not cause some harm, okay? And the laws for the persons that are injured really offer no relief from these errors, okay? Because liability laws, corporate liability laws, are built with humans in mind, and we'll explain all that. So, as we all know, I don't need to say it, algorithms perform many functions, have many societal benefits, healthcare, finance, employment, manufacturing. For example, in healthcare, we have machine learning that could, read CAT's CT scans of the lungs and detect tumors. We could read the retina and do early detections of diabetic retinopathy. In finance, we have algorithms that will actually look at stock trading, futures, and so on. Employment, a lot of the algorithms, a lot of employers, whether you know it or not, typically use algorithms to determine if you as an employee would be a good fit for their company. And also in manufacturing, we know, like, for example, if you took like General Motors or, Lordstown Motors, these places are here in Ohio, real close to where I live in Youngstown. Basically, a lot of the manufacturing is done through robotics, which obviously are controlled through software. So the question is what if something in that algorithm goes bad? If the injury occurs, who's liable? And we're going to find out. So Eric Topol in Nature Medicine a couple years ago, I read this paper when I was working on my master's thesis, and basically he said that the potential for a machine learning algorithm inducing iatrogenic risk is vast. Well, basically what he's talking about is in medicine. So iatrogenic injury is essentially where you as the physician or you as the nurse or somebody hurts a patient, not by trying to hurt a patient. A quick example is when I was working in the emergency department, I was an emergency physician for 15 years. We had to place large bore IVs underneath people's collarbones. A lot of times, if they were very sick with sepsis, and you had to go into the subclavian vein to hook the line up. Well, you had to insert a large bore needle in there. The risk was that you might puncture a lung in your search for the subclavian vein. If you puncture the lung and give that patient a pneumothorax, you have caused an iatrogenic injury. So that's what that is. And then a couple cases that were mentioned in this paper, 2015, Ventura, Ionia, which was actually a metal stamping and fabricating plant in Michigan. There was a robot that went out of its bounds and it accidentally ran into and crushed one of the workers in another area that it wasn't supposed to be in. In 2018, Uber, autonomous vehicle, struck and killed a lady in Arizona. Incidentally, there was a lady that was sitting behind the wheel of the Uber. However, she was not operating the car. In both these cases, the victims' families sought redress. However, in the Uber case, the prosecutor dropped the case because he couldn't find a suitable defendant. And in the Ventura, Ionia woman that was killed by the robot, her family, it still continues to sue now six years later, and everybody's passed the buck. So the question is, when there's a wrongful death, who's responsible? Mr. Diamandis, the author of this paper, described a phenomenon he called the Algorithmic Accountability Gap. And basically what that means is the algorithm can go bad, but it has zero accountability. And there's two areas of the laws that kind of create this gap. They don't really create it, but law is kind of weird, okay? Because in law, somebody can break into your house, and if they trip over something walking out of your house, carrying your television set, they could turn around and sue you for, having an unsafe environment. Okay, we know it's not right, but then there's also the law too as well. So there's two areas of corporate law. One's called respondeat superior, and the other is called product liability. And respondeat superior basically states that corporations really can only act through natural persons. Now, algorithms are not natural people, therefore algorithmic action does not equate to corporate action, unless a human purposely designs that algorithm or turns around and changes some software around to purposely cause a transgression. Like if someone gets into the system somewhere, rewrites some software so all the robots in the plant start going around crushing all the workers, then the company could be in trouble as well as the employee. But however, if there's no human misconduct, when you write your software or anything, there's no corporate misconduct. Therefore, this respondeat superior, which wasn't written for algorithms, but it's just a corporate law that encompasses a wide body of rules, if you will. And unfortunately, in any of this, algorithms don't fall into any of into its caveats. So this doesn't apply either. And then there's product liability. Product manufacturing or design deficit or defect will lead to an injury. Manufacturers are liable. So, like in other words, if you're manufacturing a product and you try to take shortcuts on said product in order to save money, or maybe just because you're negligent, you're lazy, and it does have an injurious act, then somebody can sue you because you had a defective mental state, you were being greedy, and there was an injurious act. However, algorithms are not products. A company does not buy algorithms, okay? And here's another thing, only the user or the consumer has a standing. So if an autonomous vehicle, say one of you decides to work on autonomous vehicles in your career, understand that only the user or consumer has the standing. If you're driving in an autonomous vehicle and it hits a telephone pole, and you get hurt, you certainly can sue. However, if it hits 6 or 7 other people, they cannot sue because they are casual bystanders. They're not users or consumers, so they're out of luck, such as that lady in Arizona that was run over by the autonomous Uber. So like I said, the liability requires both an injurious act as well as a defective mental state. However, algorithms are not people, therefore they don't have a mental state. They cannot be defendants, nor can they be jailed. Therefore, product liability offers no relief. So product liability and respondeat superior will basically, with no rules in there to cover algorithms, they're basically, nobody has a leg to stand on. The author offers a couple solutions. I'm not going to go into them too deep because, like I said, this paper is 45 pages. I thought it was a pretty interesting topic that everybody should know. But anyway, control-based account, a benefits-based account, and a beneficial control account, which is kind of like a mix of both of them. He says that for a control-based, we could have an algorithmic corporate conduct where maybe somehow the algorithms could be recognized as part of a corporation, and then the corporations must update and maintain their algorithms, either having a third party like a software come in and do audits, compliance monitoring of their software, or they themselves, the company, will do it, and it will be like a government mandate. Otherwise, because precaution is better than violation, right? And in benefits-based, basically what he's saying here is the corporation claims benefits as some mechanism, obviously, but shareholders reap rewards. So like if the company makes $1 billion, the shareholders also make money too, right? So therefore they're accountable. And this is based in fairness. They're saying basically the ones who benefit the most should be held the most liable. But this could unintentionally, like I said, law is weird, unintentionally extend to users who benefit. So like if somebody uses something on Google and somehow Google hurts them, they can come after you because you also use Google and Google benefits you. So, it sounds a little bit crazy, but the laws are kind of crazy. But then he talks about a beneficial control as well, where you use control and benefits as like boundaries, kind of take off the rough edges of the disadvantages of each, but maybe somehow we can identify a class of defendants that could be liable and also do prevention as well too, like I mentioned earlier with the control. So right now, present laws immunize corporations unless there's a culpable employee. And then also the question is to which corporation does the algorithm belong? Does it belong to the software company that developed it? Does it belong to the company that's utilizing it? And also we don't algorithms are not recognized as persons. Can they be? I don't know. Corporations can act through their algorithms, but according to Respondent Superior, the corporations corporate algorithmic conduct doesn't equal corporate conduct. So they're pretty tough questions, and that's where we're at currently. But the corporate laws are outdated. There's no benefit from injurious conduct. In other words, if you haven't done anything to benefit yourself and not care whether people are not were injured, there's really no liability. And the laws recognize that algorithms are not people, but algorithms are replacing people. The solutions to all this would really require a lot of judicial time and resources. And right now we know that, anything that, it takes years sometimes to get laws changed and, sometimes a decade. We're still arguing in the Supreme Court over Roe versus Wade, which has been going on long before I was even born. So where does the future lead? Who knows? But I wanted to present this paper only because I thought it was a topic that, we should know about in some regard. And, through our careers, a little bit of the law and responsibility as well. So I just think in the future here, algorithms are going to become more and more prevalent for a lot of things. Machine learning is coming into medicine a lot more. And so the question is who is going to be responsible when things, if something goes bad. Once again, as my reference, algorithms acting badly. Any questions to anything?